Jackie. I'm doing a project for my children's literature final. I'm going to be reading this book aloud to you. It's called Baseball Saved Us, and it is written by Ken Mochizuki and illustrated by Dom Lee. One day my dad looked out at the endless desert and decided then and there to build a baseball field. He said people needed something in this camp. We weren't in a camp that was fun like summer camp. Ours was in the middle of nowhere and we were behind barbed wire fence. Soldiers with guns made sure we stayed there, and the man in the tower saw everything we did, no matter where we were. As Dad began walking over the dry, cracked dirt, I asked him again, why were we here? Because, he said, America is at war with Japan and the government thinks that the Japanese Americans can't be trusted. But it is wrong that we are in here. We're Americans too. Then he made a mark in the dirt and mumbled something about where the infield bases should be. Back in school before camp, I was shorter and smaller than the rest of the kids. I was always the last to be picked for any team we played games. Then a few months ago it got even worse. The kids started to call me names and nobody talked to me, even though I didn't do anything bad. At the same time, the radio kept talking about some place far away called Pearl Harbor. One day Mom and Dad came to get me out of school. Mom cried a lot because we had to move out of our house real fast, throwing away a lot of our stuff. A bus took us to a place where we had to live in horse stalls. We stayed there for a while until we came home. This camp wasn't anything like home. It was so hot in the daytime and so cold at night. Dust storms came and got sand and everything, and nobody could see a thing. We sometimes got caught outside standing in line to eat or go to the bathroom. We had to use the bathroom with everybody else instead of one at a time like at home. We had to eat with everyone else too, but my big brother Teddy ate with his own friends. We lived in a lot of people in what were called barracks. This place was small and had no walls. Babies cried at night and kept us up. Back home, the older people were always busy working, but now all they did was stand or sit around. Once Dad asked Teddy to get him a cup of water. Get it yourself, Teddy said. What did you say? Dad snapped back. The older men stood and pointed at Teddy. How dare you talk to your father like that? One of them shouted. Teddy got up, kicked the crate he was sitting on, and walked away. I had never heard Teddy talk like that to Dad before. That's when Dad knew we needed baseball. We got shovels and started digging up the sagebrush in a big empty space near our barracks. The man in the tower watched us the whole time. Pretty soon, other grown-ups and their kids started to help. We didn't have everything we needed for baseball, but the grown-ups were pretty smart. They funneled water from irrigation ditches to flood what would become our baseball field. The water packed down the dust and made it hard. There weren't any trees, but they found wood to build the bleachers. Bats and balls and gloves arrived in clothes sacks from friends back home. My mom and other moms took the covers off mattresses and used them as uniforms. They almost looked like the real thing. I tried to play, but I wasn't that good. Dad said I just had to try harder. But I did know that playing baseball here was a lot easier than back home. Most of the time the kids were the same size as me. All the time I practiced, the man in the tower watched. He probably saw the other kids giving me a bad time and thought that I was no good, so I tried to be better because he was looking. Soon there were baseball games all the time. Grown-ups played and us kids did too. I played second base because my team said that that was the easiest and moved in real close. The catcher behind me and the crowd from the other team would say, easy out. I usually grounded out sometimes. I got a single. Then came one of our last games of the year to decide on the championship. It was the bottom of the ninth inning and the other team was winning 3-2. One of our guys was on second and there were 2 outs. 2 pitches and I swung both times and missed. I could hear the guy on second was begging me at least to get a base hit so somebody better could come up to bat. The crowd was getting loud. You can do it. Strike out. Hit. No hitter. No hitter. I glanced at the guardhouse behind the left field foul line and saw the man in the tower leaning on the rail with the blinding sun glinting off of his sunglasses. He was always watching, always staring. It suddenly made me mad. I gripped the bat harder and took a couple practice swings. I was gonna hit that ball past the guardhouse, even if it killed me. Everyone got quiet as the pitcher threw. I stepped into my swing and pulled the bat around hard. I'd never heard a crack like that before. The ball went even farther than I had expected. Against the hot desert sun, I could see the ball high in the air as I ran to first base. The ball went over the head of the left fielder. I dashed around the bases, knowing for sure that I would get tagged out, but I didn't care, running as fast as I could to home plate. I didn't even realize I had crossed it. Before I knew it, I was up in the air on the shoulders of one of my teammates. I looked up into the tower, and the man, with a grin on his face, gave me the thumbs up sign. But it wasn't as if everything were fixed. Things were bad again when we got home from camp after the war. Nobody talked to us on the street, and nobody talked to me at school either. Most of my friends from camp didn't come back here. I had to eat my lunch by myself. Then baseball season came. I was the smallest guy again, but playing baseball in camp had made me a lot better. The other guys saw that I was a pretty good player. They started calling me Shorty, but they smiled when they said it. By the first game came around, I felt almost like a part of the team. Everyone was laughing and horsing around on the bus, but as soon as we got out there, it hit me. Nobody on my team, or the other team, or even anybody in the crowd looked like me. When we walked out onto the field, my hands were shaking. I felt like all these mean eyes were staring at me, wanting me to make mistakes. I dropped the ball that was thrown to me, and I heard people in the crowd yelling, "Jap." I hadn't heard that word since before we went to camp. It meant they hated me. My team came up to bat, and I was next. I looked down. I thought maybe I should pretend to be sick so I wouldn't have to finish the game, but I knew that would make things even worse, because then I would get picked on at school for being a chicken, and they would use the bad word too. Then it was my turn at bat. The crowd was screaming, "The Jap's no good, easy out." I heard laughing. I swung twice and missed. The crowd roared each time I missed, drowning out my teammates who were saying, "Come on, Shorty, you can do it." I stepped back to catch my breath. When I stepped back up to the plate, I looked at the pitcher. The sun glinted off his sunglasses as he stood on the mound, like the guard in the tower. We stared at each other. Then I blacked out the noise and around me and got set. The teacher wound up and threw. I swung and felt that solid whack again, and I could see that the little ball in the air against the blue sky and the puffy white clouds. It looked like it was going over the fence. The end.